What's up, everybody? This is DJ Lionhead, and this is the Support Cha Boi Podcast. Hey, man, we got a great guest today. This guest here, I would say he is a barsmith, a man with bars. I can tell you that for sure. I've seen this man live before. He is one I would call one of Fresno's finest. Okay. Yeah, he's a business. I think it's called
OPM Vision.
OPM Vision that he got going. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that and the history of this brother right here. He is the one. He is the only LJ Hippy in the motherfucking building.
Okay. Sir,
man, I appreciate you for showing up to the pod, bro. So, the first thing I want to ask you is, I can tell why your name is LJ.
Of course.
But why Hippy?
It's a great question. So the first brand or the first business I had attempted to start is called Hippy Innovations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hemp-based business where I sold hemp hygiene and hemp products. But really, that kind of stuck with me, so I used that as part of the brand, LJ Hippy, as a way to build a brand, I learned that there's no rules in being an artist, but there's rules in building a brand.
Yeah, there is.
So starting out doing music, I just wanted to brand myself. And Hippy Innovations was the name of my first company, so I just put my first two initials in my name and the first title of, the first part of my business, and made that the brand as an artist.
Do people accuse you are you really a hippie? Do you be out there doing like a beatnik type shit?
So people question that. They ask me like, are you a hippie? They ask if I'm into drugs and the psychedelics and things. And I let them know, I say no. The hippie aspect that I kind of abide by is more of one that just respects the earth.
Gotcha.
But my dad, he's my best friend. He was born in 1947. He was the 50s. I guess they would call that the beatnik era, right? And the 60s is the era of the hippies.
Yeah.
But, so I kind of am cultured up and soak up a lot of wisdom from him. So he was what you would be called like the original hippie.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of have that essence from that. But yeah, no, I'm not what you would call a hippie. To that degree, I wasn't born in the 60s, but I would be what you call a modern day hippie as far as one that just respects the earth.
Okay. So, for the people out there, if you're asking, is this guy any good, man, you got to see this brother live. If you haven't checked out his music, you can check it out on all streaming platforms. My favorite song, as of right now, is What They Saying.
What They Saying
is dope as hell. When did you start rapping, bro? Because
that's a great question.
The bars that you have is not no beginner shit.
So 6 years ago is when I started taking it serious. 6 years ago. And just before that, really, it just was a lack of confidence. I wouldn't really think that I was any good. But just going through life and experiencing things, I would get feedback like it's, the stuff that I did have out was pretty nice. But 6 years ago is when I really started taking music serious.
Okay. And I have to. This is a personal question that I've always wanted to ask. How did you meet up with the likes of Mr. Lewis, Miss Jazzy, of course, Say Less Fresh, and the whole crew? How did you meet up with them?
Right, shout out to them. So at Colo's, really, that's where the show that you saw me perform at. I was putting on shows there, and I was looking for artists to help network just so we can organize and bring the show together, And Mr. Lewis is somebody who I would hear about as a local artist, and I started to buy his merch from him. But I wanted to do business with him as far as that. So the Colo shows was a way for me to kind of get close enough to him to tie in some business. Right. But really, that's how it started. And through Mr. Lewis is how I met Say Less, who is Kwame is what his name is now.
Right.
But and he's different, he's big dog as well, to where he's got a core fan base, a core support system, and his brand as well too. He's got a bigger buzz than I do as well, but I wanted to gravitate towards them. And that's kind of where it became more of a label component type of thing now.
Yeah, I would say you guys have like a team where you do your own thing, but you're sticking together. I love to see that because a lot of rappers want to be either alone, or if they're together, it's on either some gang type thing,
right.
or put together by by a business, by somebody outside. Like, hey, I want you guys to get together. But now you guys decide to do this on your own.
So right.
Because you guys are like-minded. Is that correct?
Definitely. I like to think of it as we got individual brands, but we come together as a collective, you know, and form something called like a conglomerate, you know, or like a syndicate.
I like it because the different styles within you guys, all of you guys' music.
Definitely.
So I have a segment I have. It's called "What's Your Preference?" Now I've seen you perform, and what's your preference? Your questions from LJ Hippy on his performance questions and your writing process.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we'll start with this question. You let me know what's your preference. Is it this or is it that type of thing?
Gotcha.
Okay, so the first question is, what's your preference? LJ Hippy, when you're on stage, what's your preference? Wireless mics or corded mics, and why?
Wireless mics. So I don't mind the cordless mics overall, but sometimes it does interfere with the performance because I'll have to adjust, you know, like not stepping over and all of that and getting caught up in it. But other than that, it's just simple. You know, the wireless mics, you get to be more flexible usually.
Okay. So here's another question. This was more to your writing process. LJ Hippy, when you write your songs, what's your preference most of the time when you write your songs? 12 bars or 16?
16.
And why?
Honestly, to be honest, what a lot of people might not know, I struggled to count bars. You know, so like 6 years is not fairly new, but when I first started, I wouldn't like know what was a bar or if it was a rhyming word. You know, I struggled with that. But normally, I really just hear a beat or hear a concept and then just write something that I've lived. You know, it's easier to write just because I'm really telling a story that I've experienced. You know?
Okay.
Just digging from something that I went through.
All right. Now, let's just say you're performing, and you're headlining, and you're at the stage, and you look at the front row. There's a lot of people, well over 100, come to see you, the headliner. But you notice the front row is nothing but women, and you're doing your thing, you're performing, and the women going crazy for you. And then you start seeing some underwear get thrown on the stage. What's your preference? Bras or panties?
So, right. That's interesting. To be honest, the type, if there was those garments thrown up, I probably wouldn't even let it faze me. It'd probably throw me off of my set, to be honest. I prefer them to not throw their garments, you know, just to not distract me from their set.
Okay.
I'm say that respectfully.
Okay. You don't want to say he wants this one or that one, but he just prefer not to do that. So are you saying, are you gonna, if they do through something, you gonna kick it off the stage?
I wouldn't kick it off the stage, but I would focus on my focus. If I'm performing my set, I'm gonna act like I didn't even see it.
Right.
But at the same time, I would, I'm one of the artists that after I perform, I don't just leave a venue. You know, I get to networking and mingling. So if there's people that do gravitate towards what I said, you know, I'd either, I strive to formally meet them and then figure out, maybe we can start a business relationship or just even, find out ways to support each other. I'm not one of the artists that just want like me, notice me. I have some value to offer too.
Okay. Okay, let's just say you're performing live again, same type of crowd, but it's mixed. It's not women in the front like doing it crazy like that. But then you notice that they like your music, but they like to be intoxicated while listening to your music. What's your preference that 80% of the crowd be intoxicated with? Weed or alcohol?
I would say weed.
Okay, and why?
Well, because alcohol, people get sloppy, and alcohol, I like to call that the liquid courage too, So with alcohol, it can just tend to turn left, quicker. When people are high, they're normally calm, cool, and collected, and usually it taps them into more of the vibe,
Right.
Music is part of culture, and being in that supreme, or just being in an elevated state of mind, you're normally you're normally more relaxed and tuned in to whatever the task at hand is.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Last one we got here for you. So, let's say you're collaborating with another artist, not one that you know of, in your crew. And basically he wants you to get with him he and you are collaborating a song, and there is a beat that is so dope, and the producer has ready for you guys. What's your preference when it comes to writing your lyrics in the studio, or when it comes to writing your lyrics? You meeting that artist and going to the studio and listen to the beat and writing, or having the producer send you the beat and you write, and then you guys go into the studio and work on it?
Right. Having the producer send me the beat and me work on it, and then come to the studio with my verse or just hook already prepared. But yeah, I like to come to the studio and just prepare. I don't have an in-house studio, so I usually pay for studio time. I would usually tell people too, like, don't come to the studio not having something ready.
Right,
you know, like,
exactly. Don't you party out first,
right,
man.
No, preparation is key. I'm ready to knock it out and let's get to it. You know, time is what we don't have to waste.
Okay. So, I want to get to a little bit more into OPM vision. What is that, and how does it start?
So OPM, it stands for other people's money. You know, but the vision is positive, though. You know, the people that are at that higher level tax bracket, they leverage other people's money. You know, so it's really emphasizing, you know, just knowing how to leverage money. You know, and you don't have to use your own. I'm learning on my journey. You know, I usually would put up my own money, and not that it's the wrong thing, but I'm learning that's not the best way. You know, like even being independent, yes, you got to put up your own bread, but finding a way to leverage other people's money, as far as finding an investor, or even if you have a bank that, you know, you can get a loan from, or putting your name on resources that, you know, that allow you to still get further. Okay. So, that's part of the vision, OPM.
Okay. So, on your way here, you had mentioned, when you came into the building, you had mentioned you just came from a long trip.
Yes, right.
Can you tell us a little bit about it, or you have to keep it secret?
No, definitely. I'm open. There's no NDA needed for that.
Okay.
I do apologize for being late.
No, I ain't tripping.
But so yeah, I manage a marketing team. You know, I do have a marketing firm. Shout out to my partner, Lorenzo Rogier. Dignified Marketing is the name of the company. We just took a push week. This was our 6th trip that we've taken. We went out to Santa Cruz for 5 days. And we literally just knocked it. You know, we touched the doors out there, talked to the people, and give them a lower rate on their gas bill.
Nice.
So yeah, we have a contract with PG&E. So for people that do qualify for it, we just come and let them know that, hey, you did qualify. You didn't respond to the memo, so that's why we're here. Okay,
that's good. So I have these questions I wanted to ask. Some of them there are because I'm an artist myself, but I always want to see somebody else's point of view. I like to hear their point of view. Like, for example, what's one hip hop trend that's either going on now or has gone on for quite a while that you getting tired of seeing happening?
Right. The trend is the dysfunction, you know, just promoting the dysfunction, you know, and then just the derogatory like energy towards women. So that's one thing that I get tired of. You know, I'm a girl dad, so I'm a father of 3 girls. Yeah. So I'm striving to set a good example as a man for them, but I'm understanding how women work. But just gaining a sense of respect as far as the music. You know, I want to push that energy out there as far as us having some respect for our women. That's definitely something.
I agree with you because it's going both ways when it comes to disrespect. I'm pretty sure you noticed that. Right. Men disrespecting women as women disrespecting men these days.
That's fact.
But I think that do you agree that they're doing it because we're doing it and they kind of following our lead? So if we were to show respect first, they would do the same. Do you feel that way?
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I would have to say it's all based off of influence, you know, and the dysfunction and the negativity is what's being promoted, and it's what's encouraged, you know. Definitely.
Okay. You know, and do you feel that, or disagree that the men have to show respect first, or do the women have to show respect first, then the man would? How do you feel about that?
Right now, the men, we as leaders, we should be leading by example. So leadership is influence, nothing more. But I think the men should influence, you know, more men and the women as well to just do the right thing. But so yeah, men, I do think that it's on the men to step up and set the right example as far as you know, earning our respect. It's not just given, it's earned. But if we, you know, if we do the knowledge, you know, or just show and prove, you know, then yeah, that'll help us to be geared in the right direction.
Is the reason why your music seems more positive and not really on some, you know what I mean, politic type shit,
right.
Is because you're trying to lead by example?
100%. I'm from Fresno. So Fresno, California, for people that don't know, is heavily rooted in the gang culture.
Oh, yeah, they don't play.
Heavily rooted in dysfunction, you know. I love my city, but for those that don't know, you know, it's bigger than Sacramento, but it's a melting pot of a lot, you know, but you can easily get caught up in the wrong thing. So I definitely wanted to be one artist that's from there that is just planting the seed in the right direction, you know, just showing that you can make quality music and not cuss, not disrespect women, not talk about doing somebody wrong, you know. You know.
As you were growing up in Fresno, what artist did you look up to that was from Fresno?
That's a good question. So I didn't look up to artists that was from Fresno. I was more of influenced by like the Lil Wayne, you know, like the 50 Cent, the E40s, you know. But now I can honestly say there's artists that are from the city that I've done my homework and research on that have, you know, been paving the way. Shout out to like Planet Asia for one.
Planet Asia, okay.
Sean F. I don't know if you heard about him. He's more of a videographer, you know.
Okay.
But he's also an artist who's good at business for what people don't know.
Okay.
But Sean F. He's somebody who I study, you know, I study the way that he's been doing things as an artist, but just innovating himself.
Shout out to Sean F. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Out of all your songs, I checked you out on Spotify, and of course your music's everywhere. But when you do your set, when you perform, what is your favorite song to perform?
That's a great question. My favorite song to perform is usually the most recent song that I made. You know?
You ain't go.
And I usually strive to just make each piece of content better than the last. You know? I like to, you know, I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but I'm my own worst critic. I'm always looking to just improve. You know, I'm always looking to do it a little bit more better, or you know, just still find a way to just deliver it a little bit more smoother. So I would say the most recent song I've worked on is probably my favorite at that time.
That makes sense. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you performed a lot and you've seen a lot on stage.
Yeah. Well, I would say a lot, but I performed about a couple dozen times.
That's enough. I know people who only perform 5 times in their life.
Right. Okay. Then you have a lot. That's a lot.
Okay. So, can you tell us a funny time on stage that either happened to you or something you saw on stage, you know, while you were there at an event?
I mean, something that happened to me and other people, like we would forget our words, you know, like, and sometimes when you can't play it off, you know, it's one of those things where like, ooh, that happened, you know. But as far as like funny, I can't think of too many funny, you know, but there's definitely been some cringe moments, you know. But yeah, too many funny. Usually the people who I network with are usually, you know, they're being pros, you know, they're doing their best to be a actual professional, you know, even though we're just starting out still, or, you know, still just striving to get off the launch pad, you know. But yeah, I can't think of a specific funny, but shout out to so Jari's World. I don't know if you heard about him.
Yes, I heard of him.
Hot Jalapeno. So I mean, he's a character. So that's where when it comes to funny, like he has the kids. You know, he's also an entertainer. You know, he's an educator and entertainer for kids that are on the spectrum. So funny in a positive way, though, where you know, like he gets to be in a character, and the youth that gets involved, they like, you know, like they really flow with the way that he's delivering it, you know. But so that's where it's like that's funny to see, but that's in a good way, you know, like
right, yeah,
because he's really a character, and
he means to do that,
right, intentionally, and he really does know how to move the crowd.
That's good.
So
that's good.
Yeah, that's one positive thing. Yeah, shout out to him.
To you, when you make a new song, you get a dope ass beat. What is the most difficult part about making a song?
I would say the difficult part is just dialing in for long enough without getting distracted, you know? And I wouldn't say difficult, but, you know, like being in that creative space is definitely good, but sometimes it's a challenge. I don't get writer's block, but, you know, when you get distracted and then you kind of, you know, like you might have had a thought, and you forgot that thought or didn't write it down or, you know, didn't note it. So I was like, that would be difficult, but with just staying on that focus, you know, just focusing in on your focus while you're in that creative space. You know, just not getting distracted.
Oh, okay.
That would be the most difficult thing.
That kind of led me to a question, but you kind of answered it already. But I'll put it this way. Let's just say there's an artist from Fresno who likes your shit and he was a fan of you, but he also wants to rap because you inspired him.
Huh.
But he has a problem. He always gets writer's block. He's asked for advice. LJ, how do you get over writer's block? How can I get over? You have any suggestions?
Yeah, I would suggest just being organic, like being authentic. If you're thinking of something that you actually lived, it's probably going to be easy because you've experienced it. You just got to find ways to put the words together, or just find a way to deliver it to where people can understand it.
Okay.
But other than that, it'd be like finding ways to just finding ways to be creative. Like if you're having writer's block, then a way to like switch up the energy. To be honest, you could like stopping and doing some push-ups just to get your blood flowing. That might help just to reset. It might give you a mental reset. But that'd be something too. Where it's like writer's block. Real artists, you don't get writer's block, but you may get distracted, or you may just completely lose or like stalled for your way of thinking. But at the same time, just find a way to reset. Take a drink or just go dig from think of a memory, like think of something else. Like even if you were going to have a certain concept, take a time and just pull from another experience, or just think of something else to say from something that you lived or heard of, or seen secondhand, or something along those lines.
Okay, let's just say I work for a Sony affiliate record label, Sony affiliate company, and I'm interested in you as an artist, and I want to sign you, but I have a requirement. I'm about to sign you, and I'm about to sign you and give you a $75,000 signing bonus into your account, wired to you, if you complete this one thing, which is I need a 12-track album, mixed and mastered with cover in 6 months. Now, if you feel that that's too little of a time, I have two ghostwriters for you. Do you accept the deal?
So, I would want to know if there was like a contingency. Do I get to keep my masters? Like I would get to keep the masters and everything.
You get 50%. 50%. But you still get the 75 for completing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a deal. Yeah, we can work a deal.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would be open to talking about it.
Okay. So that leads me to another question is, let's say you move on and let's say you get the 75, you get the 6 months, right? And I'm happy because as a label, I'm able to double. You made all your money back. You're getting royalties and things of that nature because all my money is paid off. You paid it off. And, you did a good job. So I want to assign you to another one. And this time I'm going to assign you to a $200,000 budget. But I need a double disc. And I still need it in 6 months. Would you accept that one album, one side of the disc, is completely done by my ghostwriters, and you'd finish the other 6?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
12. I mean.
Yeah, I'm open. Yeah.
Okay.
So for just about a quarter.
So this leads me to this big question, which is, do you feel that having a ghostwriter like Drake had takes away from you being an artist, or does it not?
No, art is art. I think there's some people who may have that, who may have the ability to come up with like verses or just concepts, and then it'd be, they're just not able to actually deliver it or to communicate it. So, so ghostwriters definitely serve a place.
Okay. So, and to make sure we understand your feeling on ghostwriters, who is your favorite rapper at this time?
So LJ Hippy is my favorite rapper.
I'm talking about LJ Hippy is my favorite.
Second to myself, I would say E40.
Okay.
Shout out to E40 and the whole Sick With It Records campaign.
Okay. So let's just say you found out that a hidden secret that nobody knew, which was 60% of everything E40 has done was written by Sugar Free. Would that change your thoughts of who you know E40 to be?
No.
So if you found out 60% of his songs was ghostwritten by Sugar Free, it wouldn't change your opinion on E40 at all.
You still have to get credit for putting out 30 plus albums and for being an entrepreneur to that degree. You still monetize and just open doors elsewhere.
Okay.
So I always find a positive and run with that, you know.
Yeah, because I know there's some rappers out there who feel like, man, if you got a ghostwriter, you ain't a real rapper. How do you feel about that?
So I mean, I'm not that emotionally invested. You know, I look at it as like, for one, music is sales. So it's like there's compartments, or there's a place for certain people, you know, and that's where you can be good at sales. But you know, you can have somebody else really market their product or help to promote it so it can be sold, you know. But that's where I'm open for it, because the music business is finicky. You know? Like, it's a gamble, but at the same time, that's where you can have you can take a calculated risk, you know, and strike gold, or even just be consistent. That pays off, then, you know, that's still a win.
Okay. So you sound like you're more, you really are really tuning into the marketing side of not just being an artist, but marketing your business.
100%.
Okay, so could you give a beginning artist just a 3-step way to market themselves better than just, I'm gonna just put this on Spotify and just post one post on Facebook?
Right. So for advice would be like, really become consistent. You know, just develop the habit of being consistent. Whether it be putting out content, even if you don't got a bunch of songs, you can take one song and make multiple pieces of content around that. You know, or even then, you're like, if you want to just still promote yourself as an artist, or just get your image right, you know, still find ways to you know, like be a walking billboard, you know, like step out, you know, to, I don't want to say necessarily just posting content, but to be an artist, you got to put yourself out there to get the right exposure. You know, people need to know about you, whatever the product is that you have, you know, or just you as a brand, you know.
Yeah.
So I would say become consistent at you know, at just exposing yourself in the right way.
Oh, okay. Let's let these people know. Where can they find you as far as your music, other than Spotify? How can they follow you on Instagram or something like that?
That's a great question. So they can follow me on Instagram at LJ_HIPPY559.
Okay.
And they could Google that as well too. LJ_HIPPY559.
Do you have a YouTube?
I do have a YouTube. Well, the YouTube, yeah, if you Google my artist name, it'll take you to the topic part. But if you Google, if you YouTube OPM Vision, that'd be the brand's platform.
Okay. Let's see here. A couple more questions I want to ask you before I let you go here, man. Fabian from In the Clouds Podcast. I saw you on there. And
shout out to him.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Fabian and In the Clouds Podcast. You guys can check that on YouTube. Yeah. So how did you meet up with him?
So through another artist named Jaron L. Shout out to him. We've done business for some time. He's an artist who I just seen some content of him on the podcast, and I just liked the setup. So I reached out to the podcaster himself, and I was like, "Hey, man, I know Jaron." You know, I was like, "What would it take to get on your platform?" You know. So I was just inspired just because I saw that. I was like, "You know what? I got a story to tell too."
Yeah.
And the dude, he mentioned that he's just starting out, but he wants to network with other artists too. So I was like, "Oh yeah, this is only right." You know, I already have a relationship with this artist too, so you know, let this story get out as well. You know.
Yeah. That was dope. I guess one question I want to ask you. So, let's just say I'm a person who's interested in joining OPM. How would I get in contact with you in order to join that team? Let's say I'm a photographer.
Right. But really, you could DM me. Like, you could even Google my name, you know, like, and find ways to get a hold of me that way. But I make myself available, you know. But really, if not through social media, it'd be, you know, if you knew somebody mutually through me, you know, I'm sure I give my number out to pretty much anybody that I have, you know, like a positive connection with. But really, yeah, like, however we would be able to connect, we just have to sit down and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's a statement you can give out to the young folks rapping, who are just starting out, what statement would you leave with them right now?
Right. Be your authentic self, like have a game plan, write down like your goals, like write down your intention, or if you know your purpose, at least, like just create a map or just like a 10-year plan, 20-year plan, or just a game plan on how you can live out that purpose.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I would just tell people, just apply strategy, like don't just jump into anything blindfolded, inspect what you expect.
Okay. Can you give us a game changer when it comes to marketing that's happening right now, whether it's a trend or something that you found that is actually really helping you out?
A game changer in marketing, well, really it's just keeping things simple. It's like going back to the basics, right? Just keeping things simple but being consistent. Like of course you don't want to just put out it doesn't have to be the best quality, but you definitely just want to be consistent and have it at least decent, But with that, I'd say that, like put out some content, be consistent with it, but do your best to make sure that that's quality.
I agree with you, bro. Consistency is key. Other than me being a father, having kids, and paying bills,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Which, of course, as men, we got to be consistent in that.
Yeah.
But one of the most consistent things I've done was this podcast. It's been going on since 2023, and so I agree with you. I mean, I miss some days here and there once a month,
right.
But I'm on it. You know what I mean? I come back. Always come back, and so I agree with you. For those out there, listen to what LJ said. Consistency is key, bro. It really, really is. So, I got one last question. It's the most important question of the podcast, and I gotta ask you this one last question. Okay, LJ Hippy, is there a chance I can get you back on the podcast?
Definitely.
Woo!
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, man, you heard it here first. So you guys, if you are a fan of LJ Hippy and you only watching this podcast because you mess with him, but you came to my podcast on YouTube to go just because you wanted to see him, do me a favor and go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. By you doing that, it helps me out, and we can only make this episode bigger with your help.
All right.
So I want to thank you, LJ, for coming to the Support Cha Boi Podcast. I want to thank you, everybody, for listening. All I can tell you is, see you next time. Peace.
Hey.